Hey there everybody, Kyle Sasser here, Ashlar Home Team, and today we're going to talk about a lot of people's favorite topic, property taxes. It's definitely a riveting conversation. Be sure to stay tuned. I promise you will be riveted. So what do you need to know about property taxes in Florida? The first thing you need to know is that you must, absolutely, 100%, you absolutely must ignore every property tax field that you see on Zillow, on Realtor.com, on Redfin, on any real estate website, including the MLS that I send to you. You have to ignore the property tax field. Why? The reason why you must ignore that is because that property tax field has no bearing on what you, as the buyer of that house, will pay for property taxes. So again, follow-up question is why? The reason why is because of Florida's Homestead Exemption. Now, Florida's Homestead Exemption is an extremely powerful tool for homeowners in Florida. And it's a bit unique in how generous it is compared to most other homestead exemptions across the country. And there's another video that I'm doing that covers homestead exemption. But the thing that you need to know is that that property tax field is basically based on what the current owner is paying. And if that owner has lived there for more than 3, 4, 5 years, with that homestead exemption, that is going to keep their property tax bill super low compared to what your property tax bill is going to be. Not to mention, if someone has lived in that house for 20 years, it is going to be crazy low. How much can property tax change? I have seen doubling or tripling is relatively common for someone that has been in a house for 5 or 6 years and then decides to sell it. I have seen property taxes increase as much as 10 times if someone has lived in that house for 15 to 25 years. And I have people that I know that have lived in their house for many years, and I asked them what their property tax is. So it's literally just outside of downtown Clearwater, currently a $500-ish thousand house. And I'm like, what is your current property taxes there? And they say $700. It is way too high than it should be, and we are paying $700. And at that point, I have to tell them, if you bought this house today, your property taxes would be in the $6,000 to $7,000 range. So basically, take that property tax field, take Zillow's property tax estimator, because it's also wrong. Take all of those property tax fields, throw them, crumple them up into a nice tight little ball, and shoot them into the trash basket, because that is how useful they will be. So the question then becomes, if you can't go off of the property tax field, how do you know what your estimated property taxes is going to be? Thankfully, most sections of Florida, the property appraiser for each county has a tax estimator calculator on their website. So you go to their website. For Pinellas County, that is pcpao.org. For Hillsborough County, that is hcpafl.org. And there is a link that says tax estimator. You go to that calculator, you type in the address, you put in the city, because property taxes does vary depending upon what city or county it's in, because property tax does vary depending upon which county or city it is in. You put the estimated sales price, and then the last question is this property going to be homestead exempted or not? Usually, if it's going to be your primary residence, then just select yes, homestead exemption, and then it will calculate what your estimated property taxes are going to be. But Kyle, you're probably asking, why don't you just give me an easy rule of thumb? And the truth is, there are so many little pieces that go into that property tax calculation that really the only way to have a good general idea is to go to that tax calculator, enter the information, rough sales price, and then hit calculate. Because honestly, so I do have a rough ballpark in my mind for what my clients have paid for their property taxes, what their estimated property taxes are going to be. but it is literally a $3,000 to $4,000 range. So it is not tremendously helpful. And the reason why is because there is so much variation between cities, counties, incorporated, non-incorporated, what sort of additional levies or assessments are the cities charging. So you really just have to go to that calculator and put the information in. The second thing you need to know about property taxes is that the home's assessed value will automatically be recalculated on January 1st after the sale. So let's say that you bought a home in 2019, January 1st, 2020, that property's assessed value is going to change based on what that sales price is. Homestead exemption does not stop that. It is something that happens automatically whenever a property changes hands. So you do need to kind of keep an eye on that and see what it does change to. Make sure that it is still within bounds. It should be. Usually that assessed value is 15 to 25% below what your purchase price is. And then they take the homestead exemption off of that if you have one. And then that is the number that they use to calculate what your tax liabilities are actually going to be. A few other things to keep in mind is that you do need to be a little careful if you're transferring into a trust or LLC or doing any sort of title change, because sometimes that can trigger a change to that assessed value. So you just want to keep an eye on the public record if that's what you're doing. And the third thing you need to know about your property taxes is homestead exemption. And a homestead exemption is a bit too complicated to kind of tack on to the tail end of this video. Homestead exemptions in Florida really need their own video. So there will be a link in this video down below. It is extraordinarily powerful, especially compared to most other states in the union. If you do have your home as a primary residence, it is absolutely in your best interest to file for that homestead exemption. But again, that is a separate video. Link is down below. So if you have any questions about property taxes, assessed values, how the calculations work, when property taxes are due, there's a whole lot of detail to that, where if you really want to nerd out on it, feel free to give me a call or set up a phone call. That information is also down below. I will be happy to explain all of the ins and outs of property taxes and how those values are arrived at, and some of the more peculiar quirks that I have seen happen. Especially if a house turns over 2 or 3 times within a 1 to 2 year period, things can get pretty wild. But I want to keep this relatively brief, so here we are. So that is the basics of property taxes in Florida. Once again, my name is Kyle Sasser, Ashlar Home Team. If you have any questions about property taxes, contact information is down below. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.